right. Looking forward to getting started. Kids have worked hard, had a great summer. So we need to make sure that, camp can get long, but we got to keep everybody focused. And these first 18 practices will really set the tempo for what happens all year long. And after that, then, we'll start moving towards the first game. But very pleased with the way the summer's gone and the work that our kids have put in. And look forward to going to practice tomorrow and with a group of seniors who've done a great job of leading our kids through the summer. So with that, I'll take any question.
Tracy talked on the radio the other day about Hugh McCutcheon and some of the advice you got from him. Can you kind of go into where you think that could help you guys this spring?
Well, I just think that I'll tell you what, it was interesting when I visited with Coach is that the first thing out of his mouth was, he goes, Coach, if you're going to do things how things are done traditionally, then I can't do you any good. And so it's all about, he's invested a lot of time, and I think they probably have in other countries more so than the United States when it comes to coaching and just learning behaviors, and applying it to athletics. And so we just talked about, what he thinks are some of the best methods and ways to organize practice to where kids can, at times when they're supposed to be learning things that they learn, and at times when they're supposed to be competing at a high level and doing things right, that all matches in the way that you organize practice. And so I think you'll see him out there Friday, is that he's going to come out on Friday and watch us practice, and so he has some neat ideas.
What were your reactions when he said you can't do it the traditional way? I mean, you've been coaching for a while, so is it a different thought process, or what do you have to change?
We've always tried to find best practices and things like that, the world's changing, and it's changed a lot in a hurry, and so you got to be willing to keep up with things. But the best example I can give you is like, so many times as we do things at the end of practice, the last 30 minutes may be, new stuff, preparing for the next game, and when kids are more tired or towards the end, which isn't the best time to be teaching things. And so we're going to move that more to the end of practice, to the middle of practice, do all the new things and adjustments in the middle of practice. And then, at the end of practice is that be more full speed, competing against each other. Because at those times you can expect kids, even when they're tired, to do things that they've done in the past. You're not asking them to learn anything new. You're just asking them to compete and do their job while they're tired, and you can do that. And so that's kind of one of the examples of organizing practice, which is a little bit different than what we've done.
You talked a lot in spring about changing the mindset of your offensive line. Did
Yeah.
you get that accomplished, or what did you see there?
We'll see. I know that when I visit with Mitch and the guys who've been in charge of doing the practices and the guys in the weight room right now, they love the mindset of up front. I mean, those kids have put in a tremendous amount of work, completely different type of lifting in that. Sometime is that I don't have all the details to that, but sometime when you get a chance and visit with Bart, is that Coach Miller met with the strength staff and shared what he would like to do and have them do over the summer, and it's a lot more demanding and challenging, and from what I hear, we've had a great response from that. So I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Whether it's Jonah, others, are there jobs locked in on that offensive line, or all positions?
No, it's all the time. There's nobody's locked in. We start out, it's a position chart, and then we don't have to make any decisions till we get through about 18 practices, and then after then you have to, in my opinion. I mean, the guys you're going to start and depend on, I think they need 10 days to prepare for that first game, and it's only fair to everybody. And so we'll try to have all the roles defined, and that after the 18th practice. And I tell kids all the time, you don't have to like them, and you don't have to, your roles. But when we play the first game, we expect you to accept your roles and do your best. And that role can change as the season plays on, or after the first game, we might be wrong, and all of a sudden something shows up. But so, after that 18th day, then we'll definitely lock in things where we're going and start to prepare.
Coach, can you talk about the receiving core?
I just think that we have the talent there. Eric Carter, Drew. I mean, we with Rashad Steele there, we're going to add Hunter Register, who's a redshirt a year ago. I think we have the people there, but obviously somebody's got to step up and make some of the plays that KJ made. He caught an awful lot of balls that moved the chains or scored touchdowns. But I was watching Rashad. His catches the other day on film, and in some big games he had some big catches, and he's a true freshman. And so, there's a big change between those freshmen and sophomores, just even mentally. And so I feel good about the receiving core. But we got to prove it on game day.
Coach, we talked about the O-line and wide receivers. Are those the two position groups that you maybe have the closest eye on?
I mean, the O-line really is the most, because we definitely have to play better there, and we don't have as much depth there. With our tight end groups and wide receivers, we'll be able to put enough skilled guys on but O-line, you got to have 5 of them that step up and play all the time, and so I have some concerns depth-wise, just because we've got some awfully good freshmen and even some redshirt freshmen, but it's tough in the Big Ten to play those guys, and they have to block some monsters, and it's always better if you can wait a little bit longer and do that. And so hopefully we can do that.
Starting on the job here from the start this season, does it feel more like your program than?
I don't know. I've never worried about that. Somebody can come in here and watch us practice. It's the same as Jerry Kills, and that's a hell of a compliment to me. So I'm not worried about what people recognize being different from me or whatever. Is it? That's far from my thoughts. Is it coach? He went and I, of course I wasn't a head coach. I was just assistant, but he kept every document. He kept everything in these 3-ring binders as he went through the season. And I just tell you, thank God he did. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been able to pull those out and go through them and make sure of all the little things. When you go through something 21 years, and so. There's, obviously there's little personality things that you always change, and you probably have to ask the kids what's the most difference there. But I'm glad all those 3-ring binders, I think there's 15 of them here. It takes about 3 of them to get through a year, and that all came in helpful over my break.
Tracy, how would you quantify the value team-wise of starting a camp with a quarterback who's played in 35 games?
Yeah, I think that's huge. The experience. There's 2 places experience I think really pays off, and that's in the secondary. I think it's important, and then the quarterback. Those are the 2 positions that have to make plays in order for you to win ball games nowadays, with the way the game's played. And so, and I'm really excited because Mitch is healthy. I mean, he hadn't been healthy in a long time, and when you see him, he's lost probably 20 pounds. He still weighs 230, low 230s, and looks good, and he's put a tremendous amount of effort in it. And so I'm excited I'm glad we have him back, and because we're pretty young, obviously, at quarterback after that, and so we need him to stay healthy and let those other kids develop.
Tracy, what are Coach Miller's impressions or comments to you been about the offensive line now that he's been here for a while?
It's just, I've only seen him 14 days, so, all I can go off of is our strength staff says that the guys up front have had a great summer and a great mentality. We bought a new sled and that makes you work, and that was one of the first things he wanted, and we bought it to get it here for summer, and I know they've been putting in time on that new sled, and so they've had 2 days a week where, even besides captain practices, they've done things on their own as an O-line group. And so I think they'll really see the results of it. But, obviously in the first 2 days, it'll be hard to tell. Pads on, anybody can play for the most part, and so I'm excited we get to day 3 and put on the pads and see how much progress we've made there. But everybody who's worked with them this summer has said there's no question that they've made a lot of progress.
You've been satisfied with the collective aggressiveness of the unit?
I don't know if you'll ever be satisfied, but that's a good thing, is that they can always be more aggressive. and what they're doing. But again, from the workouts and all that, is that I think those kids, from what we hear, they've done good.
Coach, you talked about experience in the D-back field. How much of an onus is on Jalen with the youthful corners that you got otherwise?
You know, the corners part is that, I mean, he'll get those young guys and work with them. I mean, the more the safeties, they're the guys who make the calls and get everybody lined up and let everybody know what they're playing. And so, you know, that's where, again, you know, we just go to awfully young people in a hurry, and they have the skill to play the position. And so that's why that's my second concern is behind Coonley and Demarius is, you know, who's going to step up and be able to make those calls and get people lined up and adjust emotions. And so that's my second concern.
Trace, two questions not related, but is there anybody who won't be available going into the start of camp?
No, not that I'm aware of.
And just how do you feel in general about your defensive end spots right now?
I feel good about it. You know, I do. I think that Galen's worked awfully hard in the summer, and Hank has, and those guys. So, you know, again, you know, maybe we don't have as much depth, but at the same time, there is, if we have some injuries there, I think we have some bigger linebackers that could help us out if we need to do that, you know. And so, you know, I'm okay with where we're at on defensive line. I look forward to those guys playing.
Tracy, how did you like Rodney Smith, like catching passes out of the backfield? I know you did that a little bit. Did you like that? Did you balls in space seem to go well with him in addition to, you know, obviously running the ball? Would you use him more in that capacity?
I think you have to get the ball to your best players in space, and both Shannon and Rodney can both catch the ball, you know. So it's all taking advantage of what people give you, and the best way to get the ball in their hands. And so I'm not at all afraid of that or opposed to that, and I think it makes them another threat. So I'd like to see both of them on the field at the same time. I mean, I've told our guys on offense that I'd like to see them both on the field at the same time. And so they're just two dynamic players, and it's more that people have to work on.
What's most ideal for your offense, having those guys basically 50-50 on carries, or one guy kind of taking the lead?
Whatever works. Balanced offense is whatever they give you, you take advantage of. So if we can line up and we hand it off 72 times and we have 500 yards and score 40 points, then it's been a good day, you know. But it's no different if people are going to stack the box and make us throw it, and we got to throw it 40 times, and we're able to move the ball. I think that's what a balanced offense does. It takes advantage of what the defense gives you. Because I've coached defense a long time. That's been the side ball, and there's a weakness in every defense. I mean, you got to be able to take advantage of it, not go into the teeth of it all the time.
We have time for about two more.
Does their relationship remind you of any running backs you've had in the past where they, you know, they don't really have any animosity, and they're, you know, really good teammates as far as who's going to have the carries, who's going to start?
Yeah, I think, you know, one thing that's helped with Marcus is kind of everybody's going that way now, you know, as they're playing multiple tailbacks. Even the NFL, you know, they're playing multiple guys, and it'll be interesting, I always say, is when you get down to the red zone, you know what I'm saying, is that the guy who does all the work, and sometimes, you know, the coach's first thought is, hey, put somebody with fresh legs, and you know, so I don't see with those two kids it being a problem, because they do have a great relationship, and they know who's going to play, and they know they can't take every snap, you know, and so but they're both extremely talented.
Tracy, I saw that Herb Street picked you guys to win the Big Ten West. I mean, do you embrace high expectations? Certainly internally, externally, others are suggesting you guys can certainly get to Indianapolis.
That's why I get confused, you know what I'm saying, is because you're anywhere from last to, I'd even know that, first. I mean, hell, good thing we play the season, you know. So, and it all comes down to the same thing. As we told kids, we went to the Big Ten meetings, and I didn't see them presenting any preseason trophy to anybody. So, you know, we'll let the season play out and see where it is. And I'll just stick to what I said, is that this isn't like we're starting all over. I don't feel like the football program is broke. I think we're in good shape. We've got this will be our 6th year invested in it. We got a group of kids that I think can compete in the Big Ten, and we'll all be disappointed if we get to the last couple weeks in November, and we're not in the discussion still to go to Indianapolis, and then we're all going to be disappointed in that. But you got to prepare during fall camp for the season, and then it's those teams that are disciplined enough to prepare each week for their opponent and have respect for their opponent, that they do the things they need to do during the week that allows them to win on game day. So if we do that, I think we got a chance.
Coach, there was a great event last night at US Bank Stadium. Is there any efforts to get your team in there to play a game?
Well, I hate to take away games on campus, is that because TCF Banks, yeah, I mean, it's a great stadium, and so I would hate to take away anything from our own campus, is that, I don't know, 20-some years here, we played without an identity. We didn't have our own stadium, and I think it's great that both teams have their own stadium, but to be able to play on campus means a lot to the alums and people in this state. I would be open to, however, with that being said, is that if we could get to where we host the national championship game and we could find a way to have 8 home games to play a non-conference team in US Bank Stadium, if that's where the national championship's going to be, I think that would be a neat scenario for everybody involved, as long as we didn't lose a game at TCF.
We have one more question for Coach.
Trace, I was going to ask you about a couple new guys, Eric Amako and Donnell Green. Can you just talk about what they might be able to bring to you guys?
We'll see. I mean, Eric's played in the same system. Fifth year, he falls under the graduate transfer rule. But he's played quarters a lot, 4-3. So excited to have him give us a little bit of depth for how young that we are there in the secondary, but wasn't here in the spring, so we'll have to see there. And then with the Green, is that he's not here yet. He's got to finish up his school. I think his school gets finished today, and then you got to go through the transferring of transcripts and all that type of stuff. So it'll be a week or 10 days probably for him, and then I'll get you updated on that. Okay?
Thank you.
Good.
We'll have,
All right. Thanks.
Mitch Leitner